So this is our first webinar of 2024, like we said. So thanks everybody for joining. We've got a good amount of people, as most of you heard this anyway, I think, from America, Canada, South Africa as always, Australia. There might be one New Zealand as well, I think, actually. So as usual, no English people because you're already here. But this is for anybody to look at moving to the UK. So we're just trying to give a few hints and tips, hopefully helping out for people during the conversations then we're having. If anyone's got any questions they want to put in the chat group, please do it. And if I'm talking, Andrew will field that and vice versa. So we'll do as much as we can throughout the transaction. But also in the future, what would you like to hear about? In the past, um, we've had pet relocation ones. We have a pet person coming in to talk about pet relocations, which is obviously very private and personal to a lot of people. We've had seniors relocating to the UK as well. It could be people with children, single people, how to get a job, how to get your visas, etc. We can all help with this. Not that we provide that service, but we know every part of the puzzle as to where people could go if people want to do that. So I'm just going to do a brief, first we'll show you a couple of slides to show who I am in my background as to what we do. So hopefully you see we're professional enough and experienced enough to talk about the relocation, and then Andrew will do the same. And we share some facts and figures. So just bear with me. Hopefully I'll share my screen. All right. Hopefully everybody can see that.
Yeah, looks good.
Good. Okay, so I'm going a bit too quick there. Who is Mark Palmer? So I've been in business a long time, as you can see from the grey hair. So I started my property tranche into the property business in 1986. So very young, 19 at the time. I'm now nearer to 60 than I am to 20, as it were. So, and I was in a estate agency for 21 years from 1986 to 2007. I became a landlord in 1999, so that's what, coming up to 25 years now. I've also been a tenant on and off for like 10, 11 years. I've also run a lettings and property management division of a branch that had 250 properties. So it means that I kind of know, hopefully, most questions that are posed to a tenant when asked I'm sure everybody on this webinar has already tried to look at houses if you're looking at viewing or if you're looking to do it in the future. There's a strong demand and a small supply of properties, unfortunately, which is we're going to talk about that in a second. Andrew's going to talk about some facts and figures pricing wise. So it's highly competitive, and that's where we can try and help you with a few hints and tips. We work with people as well. We can give more detail on that anytime on a one-to-one. But it's just everything we do over the last 35, 37 years has been managing relationships with the estate agents, because they are a very different breed. I was one, so I know that, but I still have some friends as well, I'm pleased to see. So when you're talking to estate agents, you've got to bear in mind they might have 20, 30, 50, sometimes 100 people applying for any one of these properties. If you have pets, it's 5 times as hard to attract people pets, because a lot of people we deal with aren't in the UK, first of all. So we've got to try and get over that. We can't always get to see the property. Sometimes we have to video call of it. But overall, you'll find we know how to react to the agents because they know us and they trust us far more. Being property relocation experts and property finders, this is what we do for a living. So you may be an account manager, you may be a director, project manager, anything at all. That's your job, 9 to 5, is making that happen. Our job is to speak to estate agents 10, 20, 30 times a day between us each. So that's our job. And hopefully know what to say, when to say it, how to say it, when not to say it, and all these things. Just little tips and tricks of the trade in essence and such. So that's myself. I've been in property. I can talk to you about property all day long. Anything other than that, cars or anything else, there's other people that can help with that, or schools. We try and help as much as we can. We've had these, we've got kids and I've got grandkids now, but Andrew's got younger kids, so he can talk about schools better than me. So let me pass you across now to Andrew. So I cover London and the south of England pretty much. Andrew covers Manchester and the north of England. So we kind of come in between each other around Birmingham. But ask us both any questions towards the end. There's contact numbers for us as well. But if you just reply back to the link you came to anyway as well, you'll find us back on there. And obviously on the usual socials, you'll find us somewhere down the line. Now, let's try and get Andrew back on this, and I'll speak to you guys shortly. these are just some reviews that we've all had from people. Please check out our Google reviews. I think I'm up to 74 now, which is very nice, and all 5-star. I'm pleased to see. And Facebook SAFA pages and immigration to the UK pages were highly recommend on there as well. So it's just a couple of things here. But I'll pass you over to Andrew. This is Andrew, younger model, better looking and smarter, more educated than myself. And but you can't see him, so you have to take my word for that. But there you go, Andrew.
Thanks, Mark, and yeah, excited to be here tonight, everyone. And apologies, it's yeah, I was saying to Mark earlier, I'm good on property, good on relocation, not too good with the IT. So, and I didn't want to restart the computer to at the risk of basically chucking me off altogether. So, just a bit of background on me. Like Mark said, I do have a few years on him, probably on age. I'm certainly catching him up on the grey hair. So that photo was a couple of years ago, probably. So more of a face for radio now, anyway. Always been, to be honest, it's a job and a hobby for me. So I love working in property. I love helping people with property, and it's yeah. If I'm not working, I'm generally reading about property and stuff like that. So I'm Manchester based, born and bred. Bought my first property 20 years ago now. So it's 19. 39 now, and then since 2008 now I've been working for a company for 5-6 years, basically building up my knowledge and stuff like that before setting out on my own 10 years ago, well 11 years now. So we've done over 1,100 relocations since we set up 11 years ago, so it's been good going. Lots of changes in the market. Obviously met lots of amazing people as well, and stayed friends with a lot of them, and it's great. It's challenging but rewarding at the same time, like Mark will say. So no two cases are the same. We'll get a search of a single moving over with a £800 budget through to an MD moving with 3 parrots, 2 dogs, and a cat with wanting a huge home. So it's certainly different every day. Like I said, we're Manchester based and cover the north area and down to Birmingham, and we kind of myself and Mark bounce off each other on how to work best with agents, because like Mark said, every letting and estate agent is different. You will get independent letting agents here, you will get corporate agents, you will get 18-year-old girls who are just there for 6 months, and you will get people, business owners, answering the phone. So it's only through our kind of knowledge and network developed over these years that A, we know how to work with the agents, and B, we know what to say and when to say it. And most importantly for us is structuring it for helping clients on how to make sure we get the offer accepted. So yeah, that's a bit about me. Any questions are welcome. Like we said, we like to think we're an open book. We wouldn't want people to relocate without the knowledge, because, like I said, if me or Mark were moving to South Africa, I'd like to say I was knowing what I was getting myself in for. Stuff like the weather, we can't help. Advice on areas, we can, and advice on property, we definitely can. So that's a bit about me. We've kind of touched on, because I know we kind of do a brief intro. I've gone into a few stats just to look at the market kind of as is in the last 3 months, and also how we help in effect. So on average, well, I'll hit you with the hard stuff first. So on average, in 1 year, the rentals have gone up 10% across the board. This is across the UK. In better news, they're slowing down, still expected to go up slightly. And not going into too much detail, it's because of the lack of options in the rental market, because of accidental landlords choosing to sell, and interest rates going up as well, quite a lot for the landlords. So a lot are opting to sell before the end of the tax year, which is March. As an average, this is a good guide for people. So anywhere from 25 to 40% of the salary is spent on a rent. So I know in Manchester now it's about 38%. If you come out of Manchester to areas like Stockport, up to kind of Bury and a bit further north, it does drop a little bit if you remain on the Manchester salary. I suppose as a gauge, that's looking at So I didn't work out an average, but if it's £1,000 rent, you should be earning £37,000 in effect. Affordability requirements. So that this is a question if you are inquiring via the portals, you have to be earning 30 times the annual rent. So this again, as using £1,000 as an example, you have to be earning £30,000 or more to pass the affordability criteria. So that's just a general guide, which you can do a quick. Oh, okay, that property is on at £1,000. My salary, if I'm moving, is 36. I will pass the affordability criteria to hopefully get the property without having to pay 6 or 12 months up front. Sometimes we'll still need to, purely because of no credit rating in the UK. So that's the only downside, and that's where we hopefully come in useful of. We can pitch both with a view of working it to whichever the client prefers. So tips wise, on the briefing call, again, we always do a free introductory call, myself and Mark, just to gauge kind of if people have the visas yet. We always ask for a property CV that shows you as the client as a good representation to the letting agents that we can promote you, and where possible, photos of where you're moving from, because it shows you're good representatives of moving from a nice home to the UK with or without a job, but good income, good savings, etc. So I suppose we do a lot of the hard work for the letting agents to show when we come to apply, it's an easy process for them, in effect. I think you do the same, don't you, Mark?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think also just referring back to when you said about working with the agents and possibly having to pay upfront rent. A lot of people ask us, do we have to pay 6 to 12 months upfront rent? Is it illegal to ask for more than 6 months to upfront, etc., etc.? It's not illegal. You can pay anything you want upfront. Technically, it's normally 6 to 12 months, but we've both had occasions where people have been fortunate enough, they've either sold a house or put in a position, they've been able to put 6 to 12 months or can pay up to 12 months. Now, we leverage that really, really hard against the agents to say, we have a client coming from America, South Africa, Australia, wherever it is, 2 dogs, a cat and a budgie, and we say we can pay up to 6 months rent. Now, we've both had different scenarios where we've negotiating. This can put us towards the top of the list for a start. We're competing with everybody else that we don't see, obviously, as well. So we can say, look, we can pay up to 12 months rent. And there was a couple I had last year. There was a mum, a dad, a granddad, kids, dogs. There was quite a complicated one. And we were offering 9 months in advance rent, which was very generous. And the landlord turned around and said, you know what? I don't want the rent up front. It's great you have the affordability and the means to pay me. They're really good. But I don't want to take the money because you'll take me over my tax thresholds, which is fantastic. The tenant was over the moon because they didn't have to pay up front as they thought they might need to. Super, super happy. And the relationship started off fantastically well. So they're paying, monthly, whereas before they weren't paying monthly. So it's incredibly hard to get that. But because of our relationship with the agents, and we've had it again before where some people have a guarantor, that if you have it's extra levels of security, depends how risk averse the landlord is, because we deal with everybody coming from other countries. So if you're living in England, working in England, people may trust you a little bit more as such, but they trust us because they know us better. So Andrew, you've had some good examples again as well, where people have, you mentioned about the property CVs and like family CVs or pet CVs, a couple of cute pictures with a dog or cat or budgie on your lap and stroking them, and just little things like this just really go down very, very well. It kind of humanizes it in a way to show you're real people. So yeah, we like that, and there's some Andrew's had some good examples of that which I pinched out of my end as well. So
yeah, I suppose the more information the better for the agent. I appreciate it's difficult if coming from wherever in the world for 1 or 2 viewings, and the way the market is at the minute, I may be out for 2 viewings on one day and have to wait a week for the market to refresh to match the requirements of the client. So it's it can be a process which can take a week or 3 months, and that's one thing we never know. And same with offers. I was saying to Mark, we can present the best way possible, but sometimes there could just be better offers, and it's but we keep going until we get there. And I was saying just before we started the webinar, wasn't it, we lost 2 offers not through any fault of myself or Mumshad, who's the gentleman moving. But we actually got the one on Monday, and they physically arrived on Wednesday, and we're getting it through now for him to move in next Wednesday. So we've kind of reduced his Airbnb time by 3 weeks, which is quite a saving, really. I think he was paying about £100 a night, so £100 times 2,100 he saved there. So not bad.
That's what we try to do. If we have enough time in advance to try and help people moving over here, we try and help you save you that Airbnb fee, which can be like £100 plus a night. Certainly in the south, it's more than that, and that could be like £3,000–4,500 a month. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. It really is. But I'm just going to go back to Kathy as a property owner for the last 25 years. And the bond that is paid up years. How does one produce a property CV? It will contain no other information. It's simply, Kathy, just some pictures of where you live, of the garden, to show how well you look after your property yourself. I'm sure you looked after it for well in that long time. And just a little brief, it could be just a one-page resume almost of just yourselves and cats, dogs, or whatever, and just a couple of nice pictures of you and partners, whoever's there, just to give them a bit of anything we can show them that's in colour, black and white. It gives you a bit of an identity, whereas before you're just another person that's not been seen before. So it's incredibly hard to make it work any other way, because we've got to try. They can physically see you. Not all the negotiator will look at it, but it just gives us. We're after minute differences here, fractional gains. Marginal gains is what we're after, and that can just give us another little piece of that. And say Andrew might know the 18-year-old girl or the 28-year-old guy or whatever in the office that you get on better with, and you just never know who you're going to catch at the right place at the right time. So, Andrew, you're going to touch more again on something else, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, for the CV, it's. I mean, I've got one. I'm happy to share it. It's a one-page CV of generally a picture, if possible, and just a little bit about you. It's not related to your property in effect. It's more about you, your hobbies, just to humanize it a bit, because the agents, I think in the summer, we're getting 45 inquiries per property. I was looking earlier, now they're down at 14 to 16 per property, which is good signs, I suppose.
More than 1-to-1 is a problem, but yeah, it's 14 times the problem or 45 times the problem. But yeah.
So we've just got to kind of humanize it a bit to show that it's, because they will get a lot of inquiries where people aren't moving, and we need to show we're serious and you are moving, and flights are booked and visas are there, and this is the property, and you've spent a bit of time and effort to show you're serious about applying for property. So that's where it helps.
Okay, good. Thanks, Kathy. So yeah, one of the questions I was asked about before, and I just want to approach it now, is it's like scams, Facebook scams and things like this. Is with a show of a thumbs up or thumbs down, has anybody heard of it, seen it, been a part of it? Not a part of it, I mean, unfortunately a part of it. Has anybody had that at all? Or come across it at all?
I have. Well, not me personally, but I know people who have.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if anyone else, but it's
just be very, very careful. Anybody who does see something on Facebook or Gumtree being asked to pay like £100 a viewing, Andrew, or a week's in advance rent, just to secure it, etc., etc. I had one down here where it's just very strange. It was the agent. I knew the agent of the property that was available, and they said, "We can't stop the scam. We know the house. We can't stop it. We'll be in charge." And it's very strange because so that we're in the south of England, and they were saying, "Oh, the keys are down in Scotland." Now you would say up in Scotland, not down in Scotland. So it's funny phrases and things, but they're quite easy for us to spot. But if you're desperate and really super keen, and you've got a dog, and no one's letting you with a dog, and you need to move by the end of February or March or whatever, people will pay these things, and it's just so unfortunate. So if you're worried about something, just look, message us, open so we'll have a look at it for you. Happy to just try and help people wherever we can, and we could normally spot it. But if it's on a Facebook group, we don't deal with Facebook at all. We only deal with all estate agents that are either online that we've dealt with before, that we know, some of the bigger companies like Open Rent, private landlords, all the bigger agencies that we know. There's something like 171 property regulations, sorry, and lettings that people have to adhere to. We know most of them. I don't think all the agents even know them all. So there's lots of things that we can push them to the edge of the touchline to make it like the 16th man in rugby terms to help you. And we just got to be there just to help people as much as we can, to be honest. But just be really, really careful about that.
Even with open rent, Mark, I mean, as a landlord myself, I use open rents, but you can, I mean, a slight tip is you can check, because the open rent system works, and I don't know if people have used open rent or seen it on Rightmove, but basically you leave your details and the landlord gets in touch with you. Now, there is the odd scam from time to time, but if it's made it to Rightmove, they've had to provide documentation that they own it, or someone has provided them.
You were cracking up then, Andrew. Sorry.
I was just saying with open rent that you also have to be a little bit careful. So if it's made it to Rightmove, generally it's pretty secure. If it's only on Zoopla, I tend to do a bit more due diligence, and you can find out the owner via the land registry. I think it costs you £3 to do a check on the land registry, but yeah, it's worth doing just to make sure, because people can advertise anything. Well, any kind of property they can. Like I said, there is scams. So
no worries. So Marion, yes, we do. We can cover Scotland. We have people we deal with in Scotland. I've got coverage in Ireland. We have as well. We've helped people in England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. So we can cover the whole of the UK. We're primarily English based, to be fair. Most of our business comes from within England, and there's a lot of business people coming over for all over, if it's central Manchester or London and surrounding. So we can cover. That's fine. Chantal, Isle of Man. Well, that's an interesting one, Andrew. You can answer that one.
I've never been. I know.
No, I don't know.
I don't know anyone personally. On Scotland, if it's Marion from the other day who emailed, then I know Phil is good. The laws are different in Scotland, so that's why we don't want to advise on anything that. Well, we don't want to provide misinformation. So. Phil used to work for a big agent called DJ Alexander's in Edinburgh and Glasgow, and then he's about 30 plus years in the game. And then he's been doing the relocation side for over 10. So anyone we recommend, we need to know them. We're not just going to recommend any Tom, Dick, and Harry, basically. So,
but we also know the other lady that we mentioned before, won't say it online, but where we've helped with Ireland and Scotland as well. So we have coverage all over, to be fair. Isle of Man is a good one. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check. I can't say we could help there. We technically should be able to. But Chantal, if you want to email us directly on that one, we can at least try and help, give some guidance. But I wouldn't promise on the Isle of Man. But it's a good question. We've not been asked that before. I don't think I've been asked that before. Andrew, have you?
I've been asked, so the larger corporate relocation agents have asked me to fly to the Isle of Man for a day.
Really?
And I said, well, it would be like the blind leading the blind, because I've been past it on a boat to Belfast, but that's about it. So, no. I'm sure there is. There might be someone.
Yeah.
It's only a small island, that's the thing. Is it Douglas? I don't even know the...
I've heard of it, but again, I wouldn't. It's pretty rare, isn't it? It's a small island as well. So more famously, Isle of Man TT, I think. But there's a really nice place apparently. So, so I also just want to advise for some people that do or don't know. Some people will do, and some people in the webinar will know. I've spotted online with the NHS surcharges. Now they've increased in January, which, if you didn't know, if you're coming and you're new to the UK, I'm not going to get too visa-y on this one, but if you come to the UK as a new start, you have to pay in advance to contribute to the NHS. If you've got a 5-year visa, you have to pay, I think it's now 1,068 approximately per year per person. So it can be incredibly expensive, as well as relocate the whole relocation with dogs and cats and children and husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever. So it's very, very super expensive, but that is only just been increased. I think it finished in January, I think it was, the increase. There's lots of things going on this year with the visa applications because of, we have an election this year. I think I'm told nearly half the world have elections this year as well. So there's lots going on, whether this will be challenged before the government changes. If it does changes, there's talk that it will change this year, certainly over here, for sure. It certainly looks that way anyway. They're doing their best to make sure they're not going to be running another 13 years in government at the moment. But yeah, just be careful of the cost there, because any other costs you want us to try and help you with, we can give you advice on some of these things, or we can help you put you in touch with a visa application or a pet relocation person, or you need a car, we can help you with cars as well. So anything at all we can help you with, it's fine. Happy to try and do that for you wherever possible. So we're here to be open up and ask questions to, whatever that may be. So if there's any more, is there any more questions at the moment? We've hit the half hour that we was trying to aim to do this within about half an hour, and any Q&A afterwards. If people have, if not, you've got our details here online, and by all means sort of open out. But unless anybody's got any further questions,
I think. Did you want to say about the job thing you found earlier, Mark?
oh yeah, so this is an interesting one I saw on Sky News earlier, and I didn't realize there's so many different companies were um, having signing on bonuses for certain jobs. It could be a lorry driver, it could be part of the NHS, Specsavers, who's an optometrist. It's easy for me to say. We're paying £10,000 signing on bonus. It's incredible, and that would pay for a lot of your relocation. Incredible. I didn't realize there were so many people that were paying that much, but we do have a skill shortage, as one might imagine after Brexit, but we won't go there. That's very political. But it's incredible. Now, I couldn't believe that. So if people are looking for jobs, we've just teamed up with a recruitment company that can help people all over. Now, on our next webinar, they're probably going to be part of it. So if people do have any questions for that, oh great, Kathy's old home Jobo will be hearing us via email. Brilliant, thanks Kathy. But yeah, anything else you've got, any questions at all, look, we're certainly trying happy to help. We always give initial consultation to people, but even without that, just call us or ring us, email, WhatsApp, whatever your communication links are. I'm too old to know about social media ones, but Andrew's young and trained enough to know how you best contact people. So thanks Kathy, we're here from you shortly, and Jax as well. Jack, sorry. Good. Hopefully we've been a bit of use to everybody. Unless everybody's got anything else to say, we try and keep it to a half hour, 40 minutes, so that it's not too much of your evening time wasted or away from that. But if that's all good to go, then we'll call it a day, and we shall see you again soon, anytime soon. Thanks for your time, guys. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mark. Thanks everyone for
Cheers.
coming.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Thanks, Marion.